You're walking past the rotisserie chickens, past the $1.50 hot dog combo, and straight into a trap. Most people think they're winning at Costco because they bought a gallon of mayonnaise for $5. But after 15 years of analyzing retail supply chains and consumer behavior, I can tell you that the average shopper is actually leaving thousands of dollars on the table every single year. I spent weeks tracking down 10 veterans, employees who have spent decades inside those concrete warehouses, to find out what actually goes into their carts when the vest comes off. What they told me didn't just change how I shop. It completely flipped the script on what's actually a deal and what's just clever marketing. Here's the thing. Costco doesn't make its money on the products. They make it on your membership fee. That means the deals you see on the end caps are often the items they want you to buy to feel like you're getting value, while the real gems, the high-margin killers, are hidden in plain sight. One supervisor I spoke with, a guy who's been at the Issaquah location since the 90s, dropped a bombshell that most shoppers completely miss. You see that price tag ending in 99? That's the standard retail price. It's fine, but it's not a deal. If you see a price ending in 97, that is a manager-cleared markdown. That item is likely being sold at or below cost just to move the pallet. But even that isn't the biggest secret. The real shocker came when we started talking about the Kirkland Signature brand. We've all heard the rumors that Kirkland vodka is actually Grey Goose or their batteries are Duracell. While the name brand connection is often true, the employees revealed that for certain items, the Kirkland version is actually better than the leading national brand because Costco dictates higher quality control standards than the original manufacturers use for their own labels. But wait, it gets even more interesting. You might think buying the 30-roll pack of toilet paper is the ultimate hack, but according to the people who stock the shelves, there are vampire items in the warehouse. Products that look like bargains, but actually cost you more in the long run due to waste and storage overhead. If you're finding this helpful, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It helps me keep these investigations going so we can all stop overpaying for things we don't need. Now you might be asking, if the employees aren't buying the bulk snacks, what are they buying? The answer starts in a department most of us walk right past because we think it's too expensive. One floor manager told me she hasn't bought olive oil or balsamic vinegar anywhere else in a decade, and the reason why has nothing to do with the price tag and everything to do with a specific PGI certification that most big box retailers don't even carry. That PGI certification I mentioned? It stands for Protected Geographical Indication. When you see it on a bottle of Kirkland Toscano extra virgin olive oil, it's not just a fancy sticker. It's a legal guarantee that every single olive was grown, pressed, and bottled in Tuscany. Most Italian oils you find in regular grocery stores are actually blends from Tunisia, Greece, and Spain, bottled in Italy to trick you with the label. But the Costco employees? They know the Toscano is the real deal, and they wait all year for the new harvest to hit the shelves because, at $20, it tastes better than boutique oils that cost $50. But it gets worse for your wallet if you're not careful. For every steal in the warehouse, there's a vampire item waiting to suck your budget dry. One of the most surprising things the staff told me. Avoid the fresh strawberries and bananas unless you're hosting a smoothie party for 40 people that same afternoon. The staff sees the waste firsthand. These items have a hyper-short shelf life, and because of the way Costco's supply chain works, moving massive volumes at breakneck speed, those berries are often already on their last legs by the time they hit the refrigerated room. Employees usually grab their produce at a local grocer where they can buy exactly what they need for the week. Now you might be asking, how do I know if I'm looking at a real clearance or just a normal price? Here's the secret the floor managers use. Look for the Death Star. If you see a little asterisk in the top right corner of a price sign, that item is discontinued. It's the end of the line. If it's something you love, buy 3. But here's the pro tip. If that asterisk is paired with a price ending in 97, you've hit the jackpot. That is a manager-authorized clearance price. They are literally losing money to get that pallet off the floor. I recently saw a high-end espresso machine marked down from $600 to $197 using this exact code. The average shopper walked right past it because the sign wasn't neon yellow. But it's not just about the price tags. It's about what's inside the packages. I talked to a guy in the meat department who gave me a tip that completely changed my Sunday meal prep. He told me to stop buying the prepackaged stew meat or kebab meat. Why? Because those are often just the trimmings from the higher-end cuts, marked up for the convenience of having them pre-cut. Instead, he buys the whole choice or prime top sirloin, which is significantly cheaper per pound, and spends 5 minutes slicing it himself. You're getting better quality meat for a fraction of the cost. I know this sounds like a lot of work, but stick with me, because the biggest surprising buy the employees mentioned is actually in the freezer section, and it's something most people assume is cheap filler food. Before we get to that, if you're realizing your last Costco trip was a series of expensive mistakes, go ahead and subscribe. I'm doing the legwork so you don't have to. So, what is this secret freezer staple? It's the Kirkland Signature Mini Wontons. The employees don't just buy them because they're $10 for a massive bag. They buy them because they know the manufacturer is actually a top-tier Korean brand that sells for double the price under its own label. But there's one section of the store that 3 different employees told me they never shop in, and it's probably the one place you spend the most time. The section those 3 employees told me to skip, it's the clothing department. Now don't get me wrong, we've all grabbed a pair of wool socks or a cheap sweatshirt there. But the veterans told me that unless it's a Kirkland branded staple, many of those name brand jeans and jackets are actually made for warehouse versions. They look like the ones you'd find at a high-end department store, but they often use thinner fabric and cheaper zippers to meet Costco's aggressive price points. The employees see the returns pile up. They know which seams pop after 3 washes. But that's not the most shocking part. The final secret I uncovered, the one item that nearly every single employee I spoke to buys in bulk for themselves, isn't food, and it isn't even in the aisles. It's the tires. I know, it sounds boring. But after talking to a technician who's been in the tire center for 12 years, I realized it's the ultimate insider play. Most people go to a specialized tire shop, but the Costco employees know that the membership doesn't just give you a lower price on the rubber. It gives you a lifetime of free nitrogen inflation, rotations, and, the real kicker, a road hazard warranty that is significantly more robust than almost any third-party retailer. They aren't just buying tires. They're buying a decade of zero maintenance costs. This brings us to the biggest takeaway from my weeks of interrogating the staff. The Costco effect is real. It's that psychological urge to fill a massive cart just because the space is there. But the employees? They shop like snipers. They don't wander. They know the warehouse layout is designed as a racetrack to force you past the high-margin electronics and seasonal decor before you can get to the milk and eggs. They bypass the treasure hunt items and go straight for the structural wins, the high-quality oils, the specifically coded markdowns, and the services that save them thousands over the life of a car or a home. One last tip from the supervisor who started it all. If you really want to shop like an insider, stop going on Saturdays at 11 a.m. That's when the impulse buy energy is at its peak and the samples are out to distract you. Go on a Tuesday or Wednesday evening an hour before closing. The Death Star items are easier to spot. The staff is more likely to point out a hidden clearance, and you'll actually have the headspace to ask yourself, do I really need 5 gallons of ranch dressing? I know this might have shattered some of your Costco illusions, but the goal isn't to stop shopping there. It's to start winning the game. Now you might be wondering which specific Kirkland products are actually those better-than-name brand versions I mentioned earlier. I've put together a full breakdown of the top 10 Kirkland swaps that will save you another $500 this year, and you can see that right here.